Hello, everybody. I'm Rikki Smith. Welcome to Faith on Friday Presents. At Faith on Friday Presents, our goal is to drive motivation by closing the door on the comfort zone, by fostering inspiration, by challenging what's possible, and by fostering transformation, by getting rid of some of those unproductive mindsets. And don't forget, while you're here, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our Facebook page, and follow us on Instagram. All right, everybody, let's talk about a conversation. We have them every day, everywhere you are, in your home, on your job, out in the community, at the grocery store, and yes, even at school. But what is it about these conversations that make them important or impactful? A lot of times it has to do with your emotional health and your mental health. But what does that actually mean? Today, we're going to talk to somebody who's going to help us with this, as well as tell us about something called Uchi. Everybody, please say hello to Kevin Strauss. Hi, Kevin. How are you?
Hey Rikki, I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing so great. Kevin, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate it. I can't wait for this conversation.
Yeah, me too. I'm looking forward to it. And I love your high energy right from the start. You're building up my energy.
Yay! Sorry about that. Y'all, people that watch us, they already know this is just what it looks like. Kevin, before we jump into all the things communications, Uchi, mental, and emotional health, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're located.
Well, I'm located in Columbia, Maryland, so that's the easy one. But about me, which way do you want to go? Do you want to go professional? You want to go personal? Which way would you like to go?
What are you willing to share, Kevin?
I'm kind of an open book.
Okay.
Um, But about me, really, I'm just a super curious person who loves to experiment and try different things, even different ideas, so I can go down an abstract path, even if it's something that I might not agree with or believe in, I can go down that path. And
Mm.
that's kind of what led to all this emotional health versus mental health. And it's also what led to so many patents in the medical device field and also exploring backpacking and exploring triathlon and learning about fitness and nutrition.
Wow.
So all these different areas, it's just, life is just an experiment and I want to
Wow.
try as much as possible. And whatever I learn, maybe it will help others live an easier and happier life for themselves and those they love.
And see, that right there is already so much information. So we're going to try to get in as much as possible. But we're talking today really about emotional health. So, Kevin, what's the difference between emotional health and mental health? Aren't they the same thing?
Yeah, they're totally not the same thing. If
Wow.
you follow if you follow typical mental health industry and
Mhm.
health and wellness, they are the same thing. And emotional health might be a subset of mental health, but
Mhm.
I see them as completely distinct. So
Okay.
just backing up for one quick moment, I
Mhm.
think of your overall well-being like the four tires on a car. So there's the physical, the emotional, mental, and spiritual tire. I know there's lots of other models for wellness, but those are the four that I landed on. And
Mhm.
just like the four tires on a car, you can't just inflate one tire and think you're well or think that
Wow.
car is going to run well,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And if just one tire goes flat, how does that car run?
Yeah.
It
Wow.
doesn't. And it's the same thing as a person.
Mhm.
And I think that's where we are today, where we put so much emphasis on physical health,
Mhm.
basically fitness and nutrition,
Right.
that you can't just inflate that one tire. But
Mhm.
that's basically what we're trying to do. And
Sure.
then the mental health has sort of come along in the last, maybe 5 or 10 years. It's really gotten a bigger play, which is wonderful. But
Right.
I still don't think we're really defining it correctly
Mm-hmm.
and we're sort of following what we think it is
Right.
or what we sort of subconsciously believe it to be
Mm-hmm.
or what the psychologists and psychiatrists from the 19th century
Uh-oh.
or from ancient Greece and all what they used to think it was.
Mm-hmm.
And we've learned a lot since ancient times and
True.
we've learned a lot since the 19th century,
Mm-hmm. So what is
right?
the
We're in the
difference?
21st century.
So what's the difference
So
between
here's
mental
how
and
I
emotional?
define, yeah. So
Okay.
here's how I define mental health.
Mm-hmm.
I define mental health as a person's ability to think clearly, to focus, to concentrate, to perform cognitive tasks.
Mm-hmm.
It's our thinking ability, our reasoning ability, it's our decision making ability. Basically, it's our frontal lobe of our brain. Okay.
Okay.
This is what gets us through school. This is what gets us through work. This is what helps us, navigate day to day life,
Mm-hmm.
balancing our checkbook, buying our groceries, cleaning our house, getting our kids off to school.
Right.
It's getting ourselves to work.
Sure.
It's our thinking ability.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas emotional health, and I won't go through the whole genesis because it's taken me like 20 years to really dial it in,
Sure.
but I see an emotional health is different
Mm-hmm.
from emotional intelligence. Okay. So that's
Okay.
something altogether different. A lot
Yeah.
of people, when they define emotional health, they end up giving the definition for emotional intelligence.
Okay.
That's not right. That emotional intelligence is its own thing,
Mm-hmm.
valuable and wonderful, but it's separate.
Right.
Okay, they all interrelate. So
Sure.
emotional health, I define emotional health
Mm-hmm.
as a person's ability to give and receive love, connection, and belonging. And
Oh,
it's
that's so
really
good.
about that love, connection, and belonging with the people closest to you,
Mm-hmm.
not strangers or, the thousands of people that you meet on social media or that
Right.
you connect with or subscribe or follow. That's not a
Mm-hmm.
connection. Because a
Mm-hmm.
connection, love, connection, and belonging, we can just say love, but
Mm-hmm.
just so we don't have to say the whole thing. A real connection is a two-way street,
Mm-hmm.
right? If it's not going both ways, it's not a real relationship. It's a
True.
one-way relationship. So real
Mm-hmm.
connection has to be both people giving and receiving
Mm-hmm.
comparable kinds of information to a comparable level of depth or intimacy.
Wow. Okay, wait, Kevin, I'm going to stop you right here because
Yeah, it's a
there's
lot
so,
right there.
it's a whole lot, but it's so good because it is something that we don't think of. We subconsciously think we're connecting and loving and all these things, when in actuality, we may
We're
not
not.
really be doing either of those. So in order to have this love, these connections, is this something that people can learn or can foster, or is it something that it's ascribed to you at birth? Who you are is who you are. What do you think?
Oh, no, it's 100% you can learn and develop and nurture and grow. Absolutely. We all
Mm-hmm.
have the capacity, just like with love, like
Mm-hmm.
romantic love,
Mm-hmm.
we all have the capacity to love, but we have to nurture it. We have to first experience what does it feel like to receive,
Mm.
because if we don't learn what it feels like to receive
Right.
first, then we don't know how to give it or model it to
Mm-hmm.
others and to ourselves. This
So
is why
good.
this idea that you have to love yourself before you can love anyone else,
Mm-hmm.
that's actually not true. There is a chicken or an egg that comes first.
Okay.
First, we must receive,
Mm-hmm.
because from ages 0 to 6,
Right.
you're not self-aware. You don't practice self-love from the age of 0 to 6,
Right.
even beyond, but let's just say 0 to 6.
Mm-hmm.
You're not consciously nurturing your loving yourself, but
Mm-hmm.
you most certainly know the love of your parents or your family or the
Right.
caretaker, right?
Right.
The caregiver.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you must first learn what it feels like to. This is why empathy is such a big problem in
Mm-hmm.
society,
Mm-hmm.
and by society, I mean humanity at large, like 8 billion
Wow.
people. If you've never experienced what it feels like to receive empathy from someone else, then you
Right.
have no idea how to model that. Because
True.
it hasn't been modeled for you. So how do
Mm-hmm.
you give something that you've never really learned or experienced?
Yeah.
Unless you go through a massive amount of work, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking decades of work to really nurture something that you've
Mm-hmm.
never actually received or
Had.
experienced.
Okay, so
It's
then that
possible, but very few people actually go through all
get it
that.
all done. So now that 0 to 6. I'm sure some folks watching right now are like, well, Kevin, you don't understand. I was abandoned as a kid. I was abused as a child. I lost my parents. The steps were mean,
Mhm.
all the things.
I
So go ahead.
I was shamed and judged as a child.
Yeah. And so now, I took that with me through adolescence, and we all know how much fun that can be. And so now I've been turned loose into the world
Mhm.
with this thing I know nothing about. What can I do to help me be a better person to me, to myself, and to somebody else?
Well, just being exposed to this knowledge and awareness right now is a
Mm-hmm.
good start, right? So awareness is like 1 or 2%, and education is like another 8 or 10%. But the
Mm-hmm.
rest of it, that 90%, is actually really doing it and cultivating and nurturing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And practicing, really.
Right, right.
So this is why school, I love education, I love learning, but this is why formal education fails so much because
Mm-hmm.
they rarely actually practice what they're learning or what's being
Oh,
taught.
good.
So awareness and education doesn't really change behavior. I know
Mm-hmm.
that's going to ruffle a lot of feathers, but when you look at the numbers,
Mm-hmm.
like you can look at like smoking cessation, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
The labels went on the cigarette packs and cartons in November of 1970, okay?
Wow.
And
Mm-hmm.
if you look at the numbers of smoking, it goes gradually down from the 60s until
Mm-hmm.
today. But
Okay.
when the label from the Attorney General, when that came out, it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like it was going down, less people smoking, and then all of a sudden November of 1970 and it drops,
Right.
and then it kept going down. It's
Mm-hmm.
just been a steady decline.
Mm-hmm.
So awareness and education, it allows us to feel like we're doing something, but
Mm-hmm.
the true reality is awareness and education doesn't really change behavior. And if it
Wow.
did, no one would ever break a law because you'd put a
Point.
law in place and, oh, there's your awareness, there's your education, never break a law,
Right.
right? So that's why we have to practice in order to be good at whatever it is we want to be good at.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, whatever it is. And too often we practice things that aren't helping us. Like we practice shaming one another, we practice judging one another. And then that becomes our default negative energy. Like we go down this negative spiral. But
Right.
we can also practice nurturing relationships and really connecting, really
Mm-hmm.
acknowledging each other's feelings, validating
Yeah.
each other's feelings,
Mm-hmm.
um, really hearing the other
Yeah.
person. And when you
Yeah.
feel heard and understood, then that lets you
Mm-hmm.
know that you matter. And when you feel
Yeah.
like you matter, you feel valuable. And in
That's
our
true.
brain, how valuable we feel translates to how loved we feel. And love
Mm-hmm.
is that basic human need that nurtures our emotional health.
I love
And
it.
that is what drives behavior.
Okay.
Because,
100%.
real quick,
Mm-hmm.
because hurt
Hurt
people will
people.
hurt people,
That's the
including
truth.
themselves,
Yeah. All day
right?
long.
And happy
Mm-hmm.
people do good things,
Huh.
right?
Hmm.
You don't see too many happy people shooting up schools or yelling and screaming at
So
somebody.
true. So true. That's right.
So
So then,
that's
Kevin,
why the relationships
yeah,
matter.
and I love what you said. It was the love and then the connection. What kind of connections are you talking
Mhm.
about? Are you talking about the familiar connections? Are you talking about love connections? Are you talking about social connections? Are you talking what kind of connections help facilitate this emotional health?
Yeah, absolutely. So romantic connections are just a tiny, 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 tiny bit of these connections. It's
Mm-hmm.
really every other relationship, human to human relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And more often than not, it's really the connections with the people closest to you.
Okay.
So, and that's actually what uchi means in Japanese, is
Mm-hmm.
your in group or your inner circle, because that's you care about them and they care about you. You can
Right.
have a connection with, someone that you meet at the bus stop or at
Yeah.
Starbucks or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a conversation, but if they reject you, if you try to engage them and they reject you, you don't really care so much. Like it
Right.
stings a little
Right.
bit, but it's like, oh, whatever, I don't even know them.
Mm-hmm.
But if you try to reach out to your partner or your child or your parent and they
Mm-hmm.
reject you, ooh,
Yeah.
that
Years of
hurts.
therapy.
That really
Years of
hurts.
therapy.
That's
Yeah.
real pain,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And we need to understand that socializing is not the same as connecting. And this is why social media doesn't really work for real connection. Maybe it
Wow.
started at that way as a goal,
Mm-hmm.
but that's certainly not what it is, right?
Right.
Because the human brain can't even manage more than like 150 real connections anyway.
Wow.
And uchis are like in the handfuls of numbers. So a real connection is when it's two-way and you
Mm-hmm.
both feel heard and understood and valued
Mm-hmm.
by the other person, by each
Yeah,
other.
I like that. So now
And in
you.
order to have a real connection,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Oh no, that's okay. Because
Well,
you.
just like I said earlier, to have a real connection,
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think we may have a little delay,
oh,
but
sorry,
that's
we have a
okay.
little delay.
Yeah, that's okay. So you've already alluded to
Yeah.
Uchi. Tell us what Uchi is.
Yeah. So you're still with me, right?
Yep, I'm still here.
So you're here. Okay. So Uchi is a social platform that I created. It is not a social media because nothing on Uchi is public. Uchi is designed to help facilitate conversations with the people closest to you, your Uchi, your in group. Okay. The opposite of Uchi is Soto, SOTO, and that's your
Mhm.
out group. And it's a dynamic relationship. But the point is that Uchi is just trying to help you have conversations with the people closest to you.
Mhm.
Because when you feel heard and understood by your people, it feels good. And those connections nurture your emotional health. They
Mhm.
make you happier, and happy people have better behaviors, have more constructive behaviors. So
Mhm.
that's what Uchi's all about. And really, the way it works is there's just this massive database of questions. You just answer questions in any order, however you want, and only your Uchi friends can read your answer.
Oh
And they can
wow.
only read your answer if they've already answered that question first. So you have to participate in order to consume, which is the opposite of social media.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so where did Uchi's idea come from? How did this come about?
So Uchi really got its initial spark. The light bulb moment was when I was observing an argument between a father and his teenage daughter,
Oh.
and they were just butting heads and butting heads. And I was observing this, and I'm like, if you would just say what you really think or how you really truly feel, then you would understand each other and you wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
have an argument. And
Yeah.
that's really what, and I was like, well, and at the time, this was back in like 2001.
Mhm.
So it's a long time ago. So I was having a lot of really wonderful conversations and relationships through email only, just through the written
Mhm.
word. And it really goes back to the idea because Uchi is only the written word. There's no
Okay.
pictures, no video, no audio,
Wow.
no like button, no heart. It's only the written word. So
Nice.
it really goes back to what we know
Hmm.
is the value of writing letters.
Hmm.
So we think we're under this myth, this belief that the only way to connect is face to face or in person.
Hmm.
And this myth got exacerbated during the COVID pandemic.
Sure.
But it's not true because we
Hmm.
have 2,500 years of data
Hmm.
showing that two people can have a profoundly deep connection just from writing letters.
Oh yeah.
So Uchi uses the written word, and I'll be honest with you, I'm a much better listener using the written word than in
Hmm.
verbal dialogue because I
Hmm.
can take my time, I can
Yeah.
digest, I can reread, I can read it again. Oh, I missed a word. Let me read again. Oh, now I get what you mean.
Sure. Sure.
Right?
Wow.
And the same thing
That's
with
so good.
writing.
That is so good. So, can anybody be on Uchi? Do you have to be invited in? How does that work?
Yeah, so Uchi's a free app that anybody with an email address can make an account and join, but the only way to connect with another person is invite only. So either you invite them and they accept, or they invite you and you accept. But
Mm-hmm.
let me tell you, Uchi is so private, you cannot even search for somebody on the app. You know how you can Facebook stalk or
Mm-hmm.
Instagram stalk or TikTok stalk or
Mm-hmm. Talk.
TikTok stalk,
Yeah.
talk, tic tac toe, right? So on Uchi, there is no search feature. So you have to know that
Wow.
person's email address, which
Mm-hmm.
nowadays it's harder to get an email address than a phone number.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know their email address in order to connect. That's how private. It's
Wow.
so private that this is why public schools contract with us. This is why juvenile courts, family court contracts with
Wow.
us because they know how trustworthy and private the platform is. We
Oh
don't
my
and we
gosh.
mine no data. There's zero
Mm-hmm.
data mining. I mean absolutely zero data mining. So
Wow.
So you're on there with your people, only
Mm-hmm.
your people,
Mm-hmm.
and you can have a real connection. And we've published research
Mm-hmm.
showing that Uchi strengthens relationships in just a
Mm-hmm.
matter of weeks. It starts to strengthen
Oh,
relationships, and
wow.
it's even been proven to improve depression
Mm-hmm.
among other mental health, because they're really not
Okay.
mental health problems, they're actually
Mm-hmm.
emotional health
I
problems.
see what you did
All
right
these
there.
behaviors
Mm-hmm.
all these behaviors that we're calling mental health are
Mm-hmm.
actually just ways that we try to ease our pain. We ease
Yeah.
it through drugs and alcohol, through food, through work, through athleticism, through depression, through suicide. We're just
Wow.
trying to ease our emotional pain.
My
But
gosh.
what nurtures our emotional health
Mm-hmm.
is our relationships. So
Yeah.
that's why it goes relationships and connection
Mm-hmm.
nurture emotional health, which drive behavior.
Wow. Ding, ding, ding. That is amazing. I mean, Kevin, you've got so much information here, and it's sometimes like, drinking out of a fire hose because it's all so good. So, Kevin, let me ask you, if somebody wanted to reach out to you or finish this conversation, where's the best place for them to find you?
Yeah, so absolutely. You can go to my website, which is kevinrstrauss.com, and all of my social media is Kevin R. Strauss. I'm more present on YouTube and LinkedIn, but I'm elsewhere as well. And also, of course, you can find me easily through uchiconnection.com. That's the website. And the Uchi app, which is just UCHI Uchi on the App Store and Google Play, free download, free to make your account.
Perfect. Y'all, don't worry. If you did not get that information, everything is going to be in the description below. And don't forget, connect with us on this YouTube channel, like our Facebook page, and follow us on Instagram. Kevin, my friend, before I let you go, we have to play a game.
Okay.
All right. It's super simple, though. The game is called What's on Your Mind? I'm going to give you a couple of sentences, and you just finish them for me. Are you ready to play, my friend?
Okay, let's do it.
All right, let's do this. If I could go back and talk to my 13-year-old self, I would tell him what?
Trust your gut and listen to your intuition always.
Wow. Would your 13-year-old self have listened to you?
If it was me coming back, then I think I would listen to myself.
Yeah, you never know. All right. When I wake up in the morning, my go-to breakfast food is what?
I start my every day with a liter of fluid. So I start with hydration.
Okay. Oh, that's right. You're one of those healthy people, aren't you? Because you run marathon
I mean, I try.
triathlons, don't you?
Yes. Hmm.
Absolutely not. Anyway, so when I am out running, I love the silence because,
I mean, nature just nurtures me, and I love just having my brain clear and not thinking about anything.
yeah, that would be so nice. Oh my gosh. Okay, so when I'm in a party mood, my go-to music choice is,
Oh, wow. I love it. I mean, there's so much great music, but if I really want to get amped up, I'll probably put on like EDM.
okay, any song in particular?
Not really, except like Nora and Pure comes to mind.
Okay,
But there's so much, and I don't even know all the artists. But like it could also be like Avicii and um, um, Ellie Goulding and those kinds of
okay.
that kind of music. If I really want to like get amped up
Yeah,
and dance and stuff.
and get dance all over the place. I love it. Our final question. When the Olympics comes on, I'm looking so forward to seeing what?
Are we talking winter or summer?
Your call.
Okay, summer. I love women's gymnastics. I love all the swimming. Um, those are my first go-to.
Okay, I love it. Kevin, my God, you are just absolute delight. Thank you so much for being with me today. I appreciate you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
All right, everybody. That's it for this week. But don't worry, we'll be back next week with more Faith on Friday Presents.